All right. So we move on to my favorite, which is the pecan, whichever way you want to go, biscuits. And another favorite of mine is the Penta Crème. That is just one of my favorites. I was lucky enough to be in England 2 years ago when they won Best USA Cheese at the International Cheese Awards for that cheese. And then we have the jams, nuts, and honey, which I have to say, Bonnie, that is the most challenging to get out of the jar and onto something without it getting on me, on this, on the dog, on the table. It's a real challenge for me. So we'll
Sorry
get
about
to that in
that.
a second. Let me turn it over to Ellie and Lacey.
Yeah, so we can hardly do any pairing without including our cream. This is hands down my favorite, hands down Lacey's favorite, our sales manager Dave's favorite. Clearly, a lot of people at International Cheese Awards favorite. It's a good cheese, but so we often, when we're sampling this one out, we always suggest to pair with honey, and so we really wanted to try the pecan biscuits with this one, with our honey. Obviously, it's going to pair really well with Bonnie's jam as well. So this cheese has 5 milk cans worth of cream added to the vat, so it's very, very rich. It's very salty. Often we'll refer to it as a gateway blue cheese. It's not going to be super offensive. There's not some really harsh acid peak that you can kind of sometimes get with a blue cheese. And often we see chefs using this in more of a dessert application. So it seemed like a really nice pairing. And, we felt like, the sweetness from the honey and the pecans actually, help really balance and bring out the saltiness in the cheese. Again, with how creamy this blue cheese is, I think they really kind of played well together.
Absolutely. And the pecan is just a wonderful biscuit to pair with blue cheeses. And I have to say, not all blue cheeses do go with our biscuits. Some of them can have quite a bite and can be kind of harsh. So this is great because of it does have that richness, and it blends very nicely with the saltiness. And then, of course, the honey on top of it just kind of gives it a nice smooth. And, I think part of the experience here is, just like Heinz ketchup, waiting for it to come out of the bottle, waiting for that honey to drip on the pairing. For me, it's sublime. One word, sublime.
I guess I have to start with, how do you get the nuts and honey out of the jar? This is not one that you leave the jam in the jar. Well, you can, but it's probably best to take the whole thing out of the jar and then use it, rather than try to get a little piece of it out of the jar. You can also warm it a little bit so that honey begins to run. So once you've got it out of the jar and you pair it with, you put it with the pecan biscuits and then the blue cheese, it's pretty spectacular. So I think it's worth the struggle getting it out of the jar. And I think I love the contrast of that nutty, the nuttiness that you have in the biscuits, and of course the nuts and honey with the blue cheese. I found this in Italy, in a town called Pienza that makes pecorino. Michael, you probably are very familiar with that. And they make various stages of aging. So stagionato is the most aged, and it kind of has that piquancy that blue cheese has. So, and that's what they use the nuts and honey for. That's where I first saw this jar, and it was just so beautiful. The nuts suspended in the honey looked just, to me, pretty amazing. Then I had to go back and figure out how how I could make that because the lady that owned the shop refused to tell me. She just said, no, wasn't going to tell me. I said, could you, she said her son.
That'll teach her.
I said, could you ask your son to talk to me and tell me how he made it? And she said, no. And that was it.
No translation needed.
Right. It was very clear.
Oh.
No, it was their secret. But I think it was really good with the cracker and the blue cheese. So worth the struggle.
I agree, Bonnie. The cheese has a little bit that salt, the beautiful salt in there, nice, and that's I think what's balancing this whole thing out. Our biscuits have a barley malt in it. Oh, excuse me, the wildflower honey as well. But it also has whole wheat flour, so it's a very earthy flavor. You have then the pecans, which, you know, in the nuts and the honey, that all has some more flavor, but the blue cheese is what's making this whole combination and the nice salty finish with it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And I wish I was in Italy with you then, Bonnie.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds
I want to go
gorgeous.
back. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay. Pandemic times, right after that.
Wow. Well, I mean, apart from handling the jar and all of that, it's fantastic. So we have the Glacier Penta Crème, the Pecan, and the challenging but worth it nuts and honey. And
Gorgeous.
I've used this several times, and I have to say that I'm not very successful in showing it live. So so I pre-made it. So it, being able, this is one where they don't actually fit on top of each other. It's kind of a combination of mixing them all together.
Michael, while you're tasting that, I have a question for Ellie. With the name, the origin of this cheese? I know it's all your favorites, but what's the origin of that?
Of the title of this one?
Yes.
Basically, Sid named it that because of the Penta for 5 fill milk cans of cream added to the bat. So that was kind of our thought. It's otherwise just a traditional blue cheese that we've just enhanced with all that cream. Yeah.
Got it.
So is it like a triple creme? This is a Penta Crème?
Technically, it's a 5 cream. So
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
the percentage of cream is higher than what you'd find in a triple creme style cheese. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's fantastic, and all these
Wow.
all these flavors together. The honey goes naturally. The pecans add in, the nuts add in. Everything does. This is just again a wonderful combination of flavors that work really well together.